He pulled into his own drive-thru Undercover, expecting to see how his staff really operated, but what the cashier said left him completely speechless. The neon sign of GrillMaster Burgers buzzed faintly as Thomas Reed pulled his old sedan into the drive-thru lane. The setting sun reflected off the greasy windows, and the smell of sizzling patties filled the air. Thomas wasn't just any customer. He was the CEO and founder of the GrillMaster franchise, a fast food chain that had become a household name. But today, no one would recognize him. Dressed in a worn hoodie, faded jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, Thomas blended in with the regular customers. He wasn't here to make appearances or give speeches. He was here because something felt off. For weeks, he'd received anonymous complaints about this particular location: slow service, rude employees, and even rumors of theft. His regional managers had brushed it off, calling it an isolated issue. But Thomas trusted his gut. As he inched forward in the drive-thru line, he listened carefully to how the staff interacted with customers ahead of him. No greetings, rushed orders, and a clear lack of enthusiasm. Finally, it was his turn. The speaker crackled. "Yeah, what do you want?" Thomas raised an eyebrow. "No, welcome to GrillMaster." "No, how can I help you?" Just pure indifference. "I'll take a double cheeseburger, fries, and a large soda," Thomas said calmly. A long pause. Then, an annoyed sigh. "Anything else?" "No, that's it. Pull up." Thomas drove forward, already sensing that something was deeply wrong. But nothing could have prepared him for what the cashier was about to say. As Thomas pulled up to the drive-thru window, he got his first look at the cashier. A young man, maybe in his early 20s, with a bored expression and a headset askew on his head. His name tag read, Kyle. Without making eye contact, Kyle slid the window open and shoved the card reader toward Thomas. "That'll be $11.50. Thomas handed over his card, but Kyle hesitated before processing it. His eyes narrowed slightly as he studied Thomas's face. "Hey," Kyle said suddenly, his tone shifting from indifferent to suspicious. "You look familiar." Thomas kept his expression neutral. "Do I?" Kyle squinted, then let out a sarcastic laugh. "Wait a second. You're not one of those corporate spies, are you? Coming down here to see if we're following all your stupid rules?" Thomas blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected confrontation. "Because if you are," Kyle continued, his voice rising, "let me save you the trouble. This place is a dump. We're underpaid, overworked, and honestly, we don't give a damn about your corporate policies." Thomas sat there, speechless. He had come here expecting to observe quietly, but now, confronted by a cashier who felt bold enough to mock the very company he worked for, he realized the problem was far bigger than he thought. Kyle shoved the receipt into Thomas's hand and muttered, "Have a nice day," dripping with sarcasm. But as Thomas drove off, one thought echoed in his mind. How many other employees felt the same way? Thomas parked in a quiet corner of the lot, his heart still racing from the confrontation. He pulled out his phone and dialed Lena, his director of operations. "Lena, I need you at the downtown GrillMaster ASAP," he said when she answered. "Bring HR. We've got a serious issue." "What happened?" Lena asked, her voice filled with concern. "Just get here. I'll explain when you arrive." 30 minutes later, Lena and the HR manager, Derek, pulled into the parking lot, their expressions tense as they approached Thomas's car. Thomas quickly explained everything: the rude service, Kyle's confrontation, and the disdain for corporate policies. Both Lena and Derek listened in stunned silence. "This isn't just bad customer service," Lena said finally, shaking her head. "This is a culture problem." "Exactly," Thomas agreed, "and we're going to fix it." The three of them walked into the restaurant, where the staff immediately froze. Customers glanced up from their meals, sensing the sudden tension in the air. Behind the counter, Kyle was laughing with another employee, but when he looked up and saw Thomas, this time without the disguise, his face went pale. "You," Kyle whispered, his voice barely audible. Thomas didn't waste time. He walked straight to the counter, his tone calm but firm. "That's right," he said, locking eyes with Kyle. "I'm Thomas Reed. I'm the CEO of this company." The entire restaurant fell silent. Kyle's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The other employees stared, wide-eyed, as the realization set in. "I came here to see how my restaurant was being run," Thomas continued, his voice carrying through the room. "And what I saw and heard was unacceptable." Lena stepped forward, her expression icy. "Kyle, you're fired, effective immediately." But Thomas wasn't done. "Before you go," he said, his gaze never leaving Kyle, "I want to know, why do you hate this job so much?" Kyle hesitated, then finally muttered, "Because no one cares about us. We're just cogs in the machine to you corporate guys." Thomas's heart sank. This wasn't just about one bad cashier. It was about systemic failure from the top down, and it was time to fix it. After Kyle was escorted out, Thomas gathered the remaining employees in the dining area. The tension was thick, but Thomas's expression was calm, though his eyes burned with determination. "I didn't start GrillMaster to become just another fast food chain," he began, his voice steady. "I built this company to create a place where employees feel valued and customers feel respected. But somewhere along the way, we lost that." The staff shifted uncomfortably, unsure of what to expect next. "But I'm not here to just fire people and walk away," Thomas continued. "I'm here to fix what's broken." He turned to Lena and Derek. "Starting today, we're reviewing everything: management practices, employee training, and pay structures. We're going to make sure every employee here feels heard and valued." The employees exchanged surprised glances. "But respect goes both ways," Thomas added. "If you want to work in a place where you're valued, you need to treat this job, and our customers, with that same respect." A quiet murmur of agreement rippled through the staff. Then, Thomas turned to one of the younger employees, a shy-looking girl who had remained silent throughout the confrontation. Her name tag read, Samantha. "Samantha," he said gently, "how do you feel about working here?" Samantha hesitated, then spoke softly. "I like it, but sometimes it feels like no one listens, like we don't matter." Thomas nodded, her words hitting him deeply. "That changes today." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a business card. "If you ever feel like you're not being heard, you call me directly." Samantha's eyes widened, and she nodded, clearly touched by the gesture. As Thomas prepared to leave, he turned back to the staff one last time. "This restaurant will become the standard for every grill master in the country. But it starts with you. Let's make this a place we're all proud of." The room filled with quiet applause, not out of obligation, but genuine appreciation. As Thomas walked out of the restaurant, he knew this wasn't just about firing one bad employee. It was about rebuilding trust, from the inside out. And that's exactly what he intended to do. Have you ever had a bad experience at a place you trusted? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more revealing stories like this.